Well, hello again. It's been a little bit. You're hearing a little bit of echo there. I'm just playing around with an echo box for no real reason. Maybe a demo video or something. But it's been a couple of months, really. I wouldn't say I'd taken it off. I've just been doing other things. This is just a ramble channel anyway. Um, but so I don't have a whole lot to show and say. Though I am trying to get rid of my ims and haws so I can make some targeted, not targeted, focused um, content. Oh, there came Nom. When working on that. I've also noticed I have a slight lisp. I'm a tongue thruster, which is when most people swallow, they can kind of roll their tongue or make a wave on their tongue, and it brings the liquid back to their back of their throat so they can swallow. I swallow by just shooting my tongue forward and displacing the water that way instead of guiding the water with a wave-like motion in the tongue, which puts the tongue at the back of my teeth. And, it does tend to try to push my teeth out. I've had orthodontia, but it also I realize gives me a slight lisp. So that's something to be self-conscious about. Hey, why not? That's part of who I am, I suppose. Uh, Being self-conscious. But I feel like I'm coming to a place of more self-acceptance. Just we all have parts that we don't particularly enjoy about ourselves, and I think I'm doing better than that. I haven't been drinking alcohol. Just got bored of it. It's oh fine, and I didn't make it a thing. I'm not. I haven't stopped drinking. With a capital stopped. It never was. I mean, and it's a, insidious problem in terms of never was a problem drinker like that, but. Um, it's kind of like a hangover. It's like a hangover is a withdrawal symptom, really. Uh, but I feel a little bit. I feel better, and everybody's been very supportive. That's cool. But the thing is, I can take it or leave it. It's I want to do it as I please. It's not like that's the funny thing I found is that there's really no weight to it. It's like I'm not with the not quitting. It's not like ooh I've quit and I want it but I can't have it. It's just like meh. I mean it's available to me. I could drink alcohol without anybody even noticing, and but I just don't right now. And, if that changes, that changes. But it's got an interesting power over the whole situation. It's um, yeah, that and it kind of reminds me that I really have power over the rest of my life. I think we fool ourselves that we don't have that power, and we make ourselves our own victims to that. I'm not saying that it's if I put something on a vision board, I can manifest it or anything like that. I'm just saying that while we may be in a chaotic sea with swells and things, at least we have a paddle, so we can move around a little bit. Excuse me. I think it's just summer allergies. Health problems, they are what they are. I always am in pain, but I think things are getting better. Yeah, mm, but I did, I think I did want to talk to kind of reconnect with the ether because that's who I'm talking to, I suppose. And oh, as I look to making some more focused stuff, really not for like wide internet star type things, but just like some training videos and that kind of thing, where I'm just there's some media I need to do to, clean media for just different projects. And so, learning to speak into a mic and not have all the problems are one thing to do. And I suppose that's also why I am put this little echo on now that I think about it. Why did I do that? Well, when you have an echo on, watch this. I'll show you. When you have an echo on, um, test. One problem is, okay, I'll turn it off for a second. One problem is if you have this is an old science experiment, and it's a common one. We used to do it, where if you slap headphones on somebody, give them a microphone, and delay their voice through the mic into an echo box, a single delay, just a single repeat, but it's time offset, maybe a third of a second or something like that. It becomes very hard to talk. You start almost stuttering, and we're going to do it here in just a second. Just hearing your own voice time delayed makes you kind of stop. Let's see. Let me just set it up first. That's a little bit of a long delay. So let's shorten that. Full mix. One repeat. Bring it up. Okay, I can hear my own. So I need to take out my dry signal. Hold on. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So let's do this. Okay, now it's now. Well, hold on. I'll let you hear the. Okay, that's that's the time difference there. Now I'm going to drop out my dry signal. So now I'm just talking through the delay, and it's very difficult to talk. You just tend to stutter and stammer because you try to stop and catch up to your own voice, and hear your own voice, and it's really frustrating. Hey, I think I can help by going, oh, this is really bad. That's tough. Fourscore and 7 years ago, our founding fathers. Okay, how's that? That might be even harder. I'm now at about like this delay. Test. Yeah, see, so I can say test, saying a whole sentence is very difficult. I'm running into my own words. Wow. That's kind of cool. Anyway. Yeah. Ooh. So talking like this is going to be really annoying for me and super annoying for you. So I'm going to back that off and just put on a little background echo right in there. Right in. How's that? Still a little bit. Somewhere in there. Okay. Anyway, so I'm trying to learn better speech and mic techniques. The ims and the haws, I think, are a big one. I'm using it's actually a EV320 mic that I've had for a long time. My part of my family, they were broadcast engineers. They were behind the desk, and they build the radio units. The radio stations and TV stations and stuff. So there's equipment lying around. This one though isn't from them, but I gotta get my hand license. Come to think of it. Anyway, that's still a little bit annoying, isn't it? For me, I'll work on a monitor mix later. If I got rid of it in my monitors, it'd be fine. But the Electro Voice 320 is one of the RE series. What it is there's little ports on the side, so that as you lean in, the ports are kind of designed to take out the what's called the proximity effect, where bass frequencies are less directional than high-end frequencies. So as you move back and forth from a mic, the bass frequencies, the low frequencies, will tend to dissipate more as a conic section, the area of a sphere kind of deal. And the more directional, so the farther away you get, the energy will dissipate faster than the more directional, higher frequencies, which are pointed right at the mic through my mouth. But as you get closer, you don't lose as much low frequency information to the ambient, just radiating out. It's getting closer to the mic, so it's kind of like gravity or light, where it doesn't get as diffused, because it's like taking a flashlight and 20 feet away from a wall, and it's all diffuse. And then as you get closer and closer, you get that one little hot spot. Same kind of thing with your bass frequencies. Now, I'm about a fist away right now. I'm about 3/5 away right now. And now I'm eating the mic. So there is some difference still, but it's not nearly as much as a mic without the porting technology. And the porting technology just allows the sound waves to go to the backside, and just so you get constructive and destructive interference where you need it. That's a little bit beyond the scope, and I haven't really fully sussed out the design. Like, I haven't done the math on it or anything. It works. It's a nice feature. I would say an expert user of a mic can use that proximity effect to create different things, a feeling of intimacy, like you're talking into the ear, that kind of thing. But since I'm just learning basic mic technique, that ain't happening. So this just gives me some more regular, it evens things out, so that, that is because I'm listening to the echo. It evens things out so that I don't have to worry about my exact mic positioning. I've worked with Golden Throats before in a different career, just getting some voice recordings. I'm not at that level of anything, but it was just kind of utility stuff. But they would, the really experienced guys knew what to do, but the kind of voice actors learning would do a fist from the mic and would just actually index that to kind of get used to it. I think the experts are already well aware of that. But so it's an interesting journey from that standpoint to learn mic technique, which is why I'm rambling at you right now with these horrible rambles. And I hope to um, make useful content eventually. Um, I know some professional video editors and things. I mean, like network programming type video editors. They're now retired, but they're kind of interesting. They call it storytelling. Like, ooh, well, I'll try the Black Magic product, DaVinci Resolve, and I like that you own it outright. When you buy it, you just own it outright. There's no subscriptions, and I've mailed them and told them that I'm on board with them because of that very feature. Um, so that's one I hope to learn to use as I continue forth. And the professional editors describe it as, oh yeah, it's storytelling. You're just storytelling. Now they mean you're putting together content that has a narrative and tells a story, for the lack of a better term. It you just got a little presentation to do. So and it's fine for that. It's not um, doing a bunch of grand stuff. Yeah, so it would be fun. And I think I might have mentioned this when I started this channel. I don't know, half a year ago or whenever I did that. A lot of this is just learning that because I will say video and audio are kind of part of the new literacy. I know that reading is down, and probably with me too, my eyes, are some of it. I've always listened to audio, radio dramas, and the old 16 and two-thirds records you could get from the library. I actually had it 16 and two-thirds turntable. It would do 78 down to 16 and two-thirds. There was actually an 8 and a third, but that's mainly for the blind. Super long program. But radio dramas, Spurdvac member, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the BBC, all the BBC stuff, uh, audiobooks of all kinds, radio dramas of all kinds, which I know I've discussed before. So, I guess it's been part of my life as a consumer. So I guess I should learn how to talk as well as listen. Maybe that's why these horrible rambles are happening. I'm going to go ahead and turn off that delay just to see if that changes things for me at all. I think it already has made me a little smoother. Right now, I am experiencing. I'm working experimenting with, not experiencing. Well, I guess experimenting is experiencing off axis. So instead of shooting right into the mic, I've got the mic kind of at the corner of my mouth to see if I can get rid of some of the plosives and the breathing noise. There was an old, I think it was a tampon commercial with Brenda Vaccaro, and they had to reshoot it because they put it on national TV for a long time, but they made fun. She was ruthlessly made fun of for a few weeks because she would inhale these gasping inhales when she was talking, and it became just kind of this joke that nobody could pay attention to the advert. It was so bad. And I'm doing that somewhat, but some of it I think is again just the allergies. It's been quite a summer in terms of that. You leave something outside and it's been turning green dust. Just the pollen all over it. I mean, truly, green. Things would be just green with pollen. It's where I live. I live near a forest. When I say near a forest, I'm about 30 feet from it right now. The entrance, kind of the wall, the entrance to the forest. Um, which I'm very fortunate for that. I enjoy that nature, and it's a little quieter for me, which is good. I have lived in places where the night sky is orange, and there's more power wires than there are trees. So it's a nice change. It's pretty nice. I just have to remember. It's like the bumper sticker says, "You are the traffic." To tread lightly on it so that it can be enjoyed. I can't just move in and be, you know, just crazy and ruin it for anybody else. So I got to remember to move lightly. Um, I'm a product of my culture, I suppose. So, yeah, I just want to make sure I do that. I used to get around by bicycle. I was in my 20s and 30s. Uh, and that was an interesting time. I pulled some long, long, long miles. Um, I lived kind of outside of the car culture at that point. I didn't have a car for, I don't know, 7 or 8, 10 years, maybe 8 years. Uh, and just lived on my bike. And yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. Taught me a lot. And I like the symmetry of it, that the bike could take me places, but if the bike broke, well, which can happen, then I wasn't a victim like when you have a car and it breaks down and there you are and you're stuck. I could shoulder my bike. I could move my vehicle. I could move my bike as well as my bike moving me. And so it was a neat symmetry in that. Um, and you do learn things, are things far away? Yes and no. You learn you can ride a lot further than you think. Uh, and you learn how to go to places, you learn how to dress differently so that you can dress multi-purpose and how to change so you can look presentable when you get someplace if you're riding heavier gear, in the rain or whatnot. And also, people would very kindly understand that it was part of your lifestyle. And so your whole presentation was different. And people dug that, were digging on that. That was all right. That was all right to do. Yeah, so that was cool. Just different lives, different different opportunities. Some of them maybe started as obstacles or um, difficulties, but turning those into opportunities. That's something I learned. I mean, I think being on a bicycle for that long really helped my character. I think strength of character. Having to deal with things, and when other people are having a problem or broke down, or there's something more difficult for them, being cool with that. Funny thing was being on bike tour. Done some fairly major bike tours. Harley riders are were really cool with it. Now I didn't have any. Um, I don't know about the rest of it. And, when I see a lot of these things on social media where Harley riders are mean to other motorcyclists and stuff, I don't know. Um, I've done some track riding and had Japanese bikes before. Most the Harley riders that I did know weren't motorcycle club patchy Sons of Anarchy guys. They were regular guys that happened to have a Harley. Um, in fact, one guy that sold me a turbo motorcycle worked at a motorcycle dealership. He bought a Harley, and he knew my little turbo bike kicked the crap out of the Harley he bought. I mean, it was just a different time of riding, and how fast you need to go on the street. That's what the track's for. But I digress, as you know, I tend to do. But the Harley riders were fine with me riding a bicycle. I'd see them on tour. They would stop and do whatever bars, whatever, and I'd just keep riding all day long. I'd pull about a buck 25. It was probably about that's a big. I would suggest for I was unsupported touring, so I had bags on. I would suggest 60 to 70 miles a day is plenty, but I was in a different crazy part of my life, and so I was pulling a buck 25. But they'd see me, and they got it. It's like I've had that where motorcyclists would get that. It's like it's about the freedom of doing it that way, of doing it your way, and so they were totally cool with me doing that. I think they got that it was about freedom, and I was living outside the norm. Oh, oh, interesting times. So, I think I'm turning over a little bit of a new chapter, with my health problems and things. There's certain things I'm not going to be able to do, at least not to the same level. In interests of change, some of the things I used to do just take so much time, and that's all you're doing with your time. And and I've experienced some of those things, so maybe I want to try something else. It's like bike touring is a lot of fun. I've had valuable time of doing it in endurance riding, but on a bicycle to like get a good piece of exercise, especially the way I was riding, was high efficiency. Well, I think it's for anybody. A 4 hour ride, you need a 4 hour ride to kind of get a training load on you. Riding around for an hour wouldn't do it. Now, track riders are different. The track riding coaches generally don't want you riding over an hour because you're sprinting and you lay it all out in about 10 minutes on the track on the velodrome. Um, but that's a whole nother deal. But with the riding, that's the thing about riding a bike is it's very efficient, energy efficient. So the downside is to get exercise, you have to be on that thing for quite a while. Everybody know who's moved to Ironman level triathlons. It's kind of their life for a while. while they're doing that. It's like they're always just training, endurance training. And so that's really, and that's okay. It's just you don't see them much. But say, hey, they're training for their Ironman. But it just kind of becomes their life. And so I'm shying away from that. Not shy is not the right word, but I'm moving away from that and want to see what else I can find in life, which is, I suppose, why I'm doing this stuff. Uh, just trying some new things. But I did want to check in, and I'm gonna stop at 20 minutes here. Is honestly, a lot of this is self-indulgent practice for me. But I hope you got something out of this, and I'll probably just continue to do that. If maybe it's something or somebody to listen to when you're doing laundry, and none of the kind of quote unquote prepared programs, that present to you something is the way you want to go. If you don't have if you're living alone or there's some kind of isolation and you'd rather just hear somebody talk to you that's I can't say I'm your friend because we don't know each other, but a friendly voice, and I hope to do that. I think earlier on in the channel, I talked about a couple of pundits, I guess you'd call them, or personalities that were looking for to grow a following for monetary reasons, to monetize their person, to become a media personality, kind of an e-celebrity, as I think one of them once said. Uh, and I think that motivation, made him, there was a performative friendliness. I'm enough social media, huh? I'm starting to use all those terms, but yeah, it's friendliness as a performance, but they weren't interested in their audience really. That was all a tool. They admitted to this. It's all a tool to gain a following for monetization. That's not why I'm here. But I don't mean to be like also the fake nice guy with that shtick about not having a line. Your line is not having a line. Um, but I am just spitting out into the ether, and I think some of it it's that I'm fortunate. And am I satisfied with my current life? Well, I'm changing, but I feel very fortunate. I'm not really wanting for anything. I'm just redefining what my goals are, what my objectives are. At the end of the day, have I had a good day, a productive day, a day that if I helped people, is it valuable to others, or whatever it is. Um, so I am looking for. So I'm dissatisfied, only in that I'm looking for a new direction, and that's about me and my reaction to the world. But the how the world is treating me is I've been extremely fortunate. Yeah, so I have no complaints there. Um, so hopefully some of this will be giving back. Um, and I'm umming now. So once I start umming, I suppose I should move on because apparently I don't have that much to say. But I do want to give back to you, anyone who has decided to listen in the ether there. And yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.